And if you can hop on over to All Things Self Mastery on my YT page and let me know if the sound quality is good, I would greatly appreciate it if someone can do that. Okay, live stream has started. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Peace, loves. Welcome to All Things Self Mastery. My name is Venus the Goddess. I am a self mastery mentor. I teach you all that you need to know about mental, spiritual, emotional, physical, sometimes financial, but definitely energetically, how to align yourself so you can master yourself and master your reality. And each week, typically on Fridays, however, I have something to do, so I'm not going to keep you back from the lessons. I'm going to honor my commitment. And so this is why we're hosting the mastery class on today, Thursday evening, because tomorrow I actually have something that I need to do, a speech that I have to prepare. So, welcome in. We're going to be discussing codependency, which is something that we are seeing a lot of today. So, if you are here in the YT land, I am streaming on different platforms. So, some of the words I'm going to say is going to kind of like be in code. If you can understand me, I appreciate it. Kelly D, how are you? To my TT family, welcome in, welcome in. To my YouTube family, welcome in, and welcome in. And of course, to my Facebook family, welcome in. I'm also streaming over there. Feel free to comment, say hey, even if it's just to say hey, love, hey. I don't bite, I will respond back. Feel free to share your perspective in the comment section, and I will do the best I can to elaborate it, expound upon it, or if it's a question. Stephanie, how are you? Thank you so much for tapping the screen. As you come in, make sure you just share the love, okay? I'm coming before you, giving you information, some of the things you may have heard of, but I guarantee you, you're going to always get an aha, right? Because over here, with All Things Self Mastery, we give deeper perspectives into the why, right? Especially when it comes down to attracting what and who you desire. Many of us are missing the mark because we're not understanding the why, right? It is all about the why. It's not enough to keep having insane conversations, repetitive conversations over and over and over again and expecting different results. So I like to help you all understand the psychology behind what you do and why you do it, so you can then figure out the how to change it. And so we're going to be getting into talking about codependency, because a lot of us are codependent on many things, especially in relationships. So if you, before I get into the lesson, if you are here in YouTube, if you can just comment hey, 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 or hey, love, peace, love, whatever you choose to say, let me know that you are here, and let me know if my sound quality is good. Okay. Because I did a live the other day and I didn't check the sound quality, and we listen, I couldn't repost the content. So if I don't mention your name and welcome you in personally, which I usually do, please do not charge it to my heart. Okay, charge it to, I'm streaming on multiple platforms. Codependency. Codependency, what is it? You sound fine. Thank you, Plump Cosplay. I appreciate you, love. More so, I'm attempting to get some feedback on my YouTube channel. If the sound quality is good over here. Um, so if any, again, if any of you won't mind jumping over to All Things Self Mastery on my YouTube and just letting me know if the sound quality is good before I get into the presentation, I would sincerely appreciate it. It only takes a second. Do your girl a favor. Because I want to make sure that the sound quality is really, really good. That's just the way I can test it out. Listen, you help me, I help you, we help us. Okay, we in this together. But thank you so much. I appreciate your feedback. Codependency. Codependency. What is it? What is it? Let me. Oh, how do I pull it up? Oh, here we go. Okay, let's talk, my loves. Codependency, what is it? How important is thank you so much for the follow, my love. Oh, Sheena, thank you so much, beautiful. That's what I love about us, teamwork. Thank you for taking the time out to hop on over there and type in. Thank you, Sheena, so much. I do appreciate you. That's so dope. Like, you and me, I would do the same thing. If I was in someone else's live, I'm always going to show my support somehow by tapping, hitting a like, hitting a share, hitting a thumbs up. So thank you so very much. I really do appreciate you. Because that's the way I know, because you're on your side and I'm on my side, so I can hear myself clear. So I do appreciate you. Infinite gratitude for you. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Codependency, especially when we are talking about relationships. Relationships. How many of us have been codependent on our partner? On our partners? How many of us have been codependent on our children or a family member? How many of us have been codependent, have been displaying codependency, right? Thinking it's healthy, right? How many of us have been engaging in conversations, right, with codependent people, right? We're talking about relationships and codependency, which is incredibly important, right? Because it is an unhealthy behavioral pattern. And many of us do it. Many of us have very unhealthy attachments and addictions to other people that we allow in our life. And that does not only equate to having them in your life as a romantic partner. This can mean a platonic relationship, the family relationship, a sister sibling relationship. It can mean the connection. It is whatever connection that you share with a person. And a lot of us are, well, I would dare to say too many of us are experiencing or having unhealthy behaviors, unhealthy relations with individuals because we really don't understand. Um, Oh, I gotta change this layout because oh shit. Well, it is what it is. I'm gonna do the how can I move this? Oh, you know what? I can change this. I can change the layout. Here we go. I'll just change the layout so I can go over here and I can widen the screen like this. That's much better. Pardon me. Okay, codependency. Let's go back. So what is codependency? Thank you so much for joining, Delisa. How are you? Fancy Face. That's a cute name. That is a really cute name. Codependency. So, understanding codependency, what it is, in order for us to acknowledge, right, the behaviors that we're displaying, in order for us to forge healthy relationships with our family members, relative, co-workers, friends, partners, future partners, even the current relationships that we are in, right? Especially when you're thinking about or entering into the dating world, right? Forging healthy relationships. um an imperative part of forging healthy relationships is knowing who you are, one, and understanding your behavior patterns, understanding your communication style, understanding their communication style, and understanding what you want and why you want it. How you behave is incredibly important. And when we're talking about codependency, let's just speak about what codependency is, which it is a psychological condition or a relationship in which a person manifesting, right, manifesting low self-esteem and a strong desire for approval. How many of us seek validation from our partners? How many of us seek validation from our family members? How many of us seek validation and approval for other people to give us the things that we should have ourselves, especially when it comes down to self-full love, right? How many of us look to our partners or look outside of ourselves to anyone, right, to validate our self-esteem? That is imperative. A person manifesting low self-esteem and a strong desire for approval have an unhealthy attachment to another person, place, and places. It is the need of putting another person before you. It is the need to always make that person feel as if you have to appease them. And that goes along with that puts you in the realm of people pleasing, right? Codependency is a learned behavior. This is something that we mimic, that we've learned from other relationships, especially our guardians, and watching other people perform, other people interact within their relationships. It is a learned behavior that can be passed down from generation to generation, from one to the next. And this is how we repeat the cycle. This is how we keep repeating unhealthy behavior patterns. The cycle continues, right? Candibo, and thank you so much for joining, right? It is an emotional and behavioral condition that, if that affects the individual ability to have a healthy, mutually satisfying relationship, right? We're talking about codependency, right? How are you, beautiful? I am wonderful. Thank you. We're talking about codependency. And earlier I was watching I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with the show Blind Love is Blind. Love is Blind, right? And so I am very much into different shows like that because live examples, watching people live out and display their life experiences, can help us tremendously in avoiding certain pitfalls, right? And so I love shows like that. And there's a particular clip that I'm going to play a little bit further in the lesson, because it is invaluable, right? And so visually we learn a lot better. Subliminal messages, visual messages, as well as audible messages are incredibly important when you are on your road and on the path to self mastery. Hi Marvin, how my love? Hi. Hi, beautiful. How are you doing? You changed the name, right? And so we have to understand this. Codependency is also known as a relationship addiction. Many of us have unhealthy addictions to many things, many people, and many places, right? When we speak about addictions, we're not only speaking about addictions to narcotics. We're not only speaking about addictions to alcoholism. We're not only speaking about addictions to those things, which when you hear the word addiction, you are our minds have been conditioned to automatically revert to chemicals, right? Narcotics, drugs of some sort. When you can have an addiction to many things, you can be come addicted, and addiction and dependency, right, correlates with each other, right? And so when we're thinking about unhealthy addictions, there can be food addictions, there can be sensual sexual addictions, there can be sugar addictions, there could be toxic addictions, as well as chemical addictions, right? We get used to those things, and then we start forming unhealthy behaviors and unhealthy attachments, which leads us into forming, right, unhealthy relationships, being codependent. And we're going to get into some reasons why some of us become codependent, because I want to help you better understand so you can master yourself. Main reason: many of us are unhealthy in our lives. Many of us are unhealthy. Too many of us are suffering from depression, anxiety, and overload of stress. And it's not good stress. Many of us are on the bridge ready to jump off, and some of us have jumped off already. Suicide is at an all-time high, especially in younger people. What are we doing? It begs the question, what are we doing? Yet we're having a polarized multitude of conversations centered around what he's doing, what she's doing, who's being accountable, who's not being accountable, who's right, who's wrong, the things that are wrong, subjective, the things that are right. Like, we're having these conversations, we're still having what I think surface level conversations that's not really helping us get to the core of why we keep doing it. And it's been year after year, century after century, and we're still arguing and debating about some of the most foolish, in my opinion, things. We're still arguing about 50-50. We're still arguing about sexual preferences. We're still arguing about who land is this. We're still arguing about physicalities. We're still arguing about sexuality. We're still arguing about who's the leader. We're still arguing about spirituality. We're still arguing and having conversations and debates about politics, about the elite. And it's a repetitive pattern, but nothing is really changing. Peace, goddess. How are you, my love? Nothing is really changing. And that has to change. As you come in, make sure you're tapping the screen. Let's let the algorithm know that this is a healthy conversation, right? Those of you who are here, you are purpose to be here. There is no such thing as coincidences, happenstances, or luck. Everything that happens in this realm is divine, right? And so we need to know this because there are many of us who want to learn why we keep doing the things that we're doing. I was on the live earlier today and I mentioned this, right? And it was just it's nice to have confirmation. Something that I mentioned as far as many of us not understanding the why. It is the why we keep doing these things because the why is creating your reality. And until you get to the core of why you keep behaving the way you're behaving, nothing is going to change. And so when I come before you and I give these lessons, I'm teaching you about a little bit about psychology. I'm teaching you a little bit about astrology and astronomy and metaphysics, deeper divine spirituality. I'm teaching you about all the things that have to do with you. I'm teaching you about neuroscience because thank you, my love. Right? We don't understand what creates behaviors, especially when we're talking about how we get so attached and addicted and rely heavily on another person to validate what we don't know is the very things that we lack: low self-esteem, low confidence, insecurities, right? And we're only feeding the very thing we want to destroy. I say it all the time, and I'm going to continually say this. What you feed will gain power, and what you starve will lose power. What you consume, you become. And so, if you're wondering why things are not moving, while you're running on this hamster wheel, thinking you're moving forward and you're not going anywhere, is because you do not understand the psychological aspect of why you do the things that you do. You don't understand neuroscience. And I'm not saying you have to be a philosopher in these things, but what I am saying is that you must learn these at least the foundational principles, especially when it comes to universal laws and principles, cause and effect. You get what you give, the law of correspondence, right? It doesn't matter who you serve. Kendall, how are you? Thank you so much for joining. It really doesn't matter what entity you serve, what God you serve. It doesn't matter who you praise. None of those things matter when it comes to these divine laws and principles. None of it matters because it applies to all of us. The universe only understands frequency. We hear that a lot. We hear everything is frequency. We hear everything is energy. But how the fact that many of us are still on this repetitive cycle, repeating unhealthy behavior patterns, lets me know that we do not understand these things as much as we need to. You do not understand the energy exchange. You do not understand that your thoughts are energy, that your thoughts are neurotransmitters, that your thoughts are signals. You do not understand energy centers and chakras. You do not understand that your heart is the magnet that pulls whatever you're sending, that whatever signal you're sending into the universe back to you. And so, if you're wondering why you're not attracting who and what you desire, it's because you are out of alignment. You're out of alignment. SK, how are you, love? SNK? You're out of alignment. So we're speaking of these things, but there's not many people, right, that is able to articulate it in the way that people like me do. I relate to you because I'm in you. I am you. And even though we are one, there are certain people who are more relatable than others. I come from where most of us come from the streets, from the block. right? I come from one of the most notorious projects in Brooklyn, Cypress Hills projects. I've been there. I've been that girl. I've been on that hamster wheel going nowhere fast. I've been on that treadmill going nowhere fast. I've been the person that her self-esteem was 8 feet below 6 feet. I've been that girl with no confidence, appearing like I had confidence. I've been that girl like many of us who is essayed and sexually violated, mentally violated, spiritually violated, abused in so many areas. I've been that girl. I have tasted of the experience that I am sharing with you. Understand that it just makes you even more formidable and relatable when you can tell someone how a strawberry tastes because you've tasted all versions of it. Some are sweet, some are bitter, some are pink, some are red, some are white, some are GMOs. When you've tasted it, baby, you can tell someone in depth and be able to touch them in ways that other people cannot touch and relate. I've been there, I came out of it. So understand what I say. Until you understand the psychology behind what you do, nothing is going to change, my loves. Addictions and codependency is real and it keeps you moving backwards. Stop the cycle. It is about stopping the cycle. It is about truly doing the work. I see that my internet is glitching over here. My goodness. We're going to have to do something about that. Right? So when we're speaking about codependency, right? We have to understand the reasons, the core reasons, not just the surface level, not just the first and second and the third and the fourth layer of the onion, which is most of it, which is what most of us are discussing now. We're talking about surface level things, right? Oh, I think my internet is glitching over here. My goodness. We're gonna keep moving. Ah, yes, as in my internet is glitching. Right? And so we have to understand this. So uh let's get into some common causes of why we become codependent on other people, why we become codependent on other things, right? We're going to get into some of those. You're coming through good. Thank you, Curvis. If I pronounce your name correctly. If I didn't, pardon me. I'm speaking about my my internet over here. It's kind of glitching. It's glitching on me. This is where my slides are. It's okay. Thank you so much, Queen. How are you, beautiful? Thank you so much for helping me in the in the comments. So we're gonna move into what are some common causes of codependency, right? And they are in no particular order. No particular order. You know what? Next time I'm gonna because this cannot happen, right? And so we're gonna move forward. One of the comments of codependency is emotional and physical abuse, right? Many of us develop codependent issues because we have been traumatized at some point in our upbringing, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. We have been traumatized. So you have to understand. And I know we speak about doing the work, right? But many of us are really not doing the inner work that we need because we don't really understand how. We have all of these coaches, and I know that there's an abundance of information out there, right? I know sometimes no, I'm gonna wait. I know that sometimes it can be overbearing and overwhelming with the amount of information that's out there. And so I understand that it is easy to be confused. It is easy to be led astray. It is easy to be overwhelmed, right? I do understand that. It is really easy to be overwhelmed. with the information. At one point in my studies, I had to pull back because the information was so overwhelming. I said, you know what? This is just too much. Let me just calm down. A part of, aside from me being a student of life and me absolutely loving information and education, but at some point, I had to sit down. And at some point, you will have to do the same thing. Thank you so much for sharing the live, Queen. I so appreciate you helping me now work through the live. Oh, just realized you're using a second device for slides, hence glitches, not on phone, our feed. Oh, okay. Yeah, on I think I fixed it. It seems to be working good right now. For those of you who are on YouTube, pardon the glitches, okay? I am not a techie person. However, I'm getting better as we move along, right? And so we have to understand this. And so I know I spoke about the traumatized, but let me jump back, right? Because now that the system is working. So some of the most common, I'm going to give you at least four of the most common causes why we get so, why we become codependent, why we rely on people so much to validate us in so many different ways, especially when it comes to self-love. Because guess what? We're living in a time and a space right now where ignorance is a choice. We're not living in the times we're not living in a time where information wasn't privy to us. We're not living in a time where sacred wisdom was hidden from us. We're not living in a time where the information that we need is not at our fingertips. We're not living in the dark ages anymore. When you hear people say we're living in the age of Aquarius, this is what I mean by at least educating yourself on the fundamental principles of everything that has to do with you. Astrology affects you. Astronomy affects you. The cycles of the universe affects you in many ways. Just as the seasons move in, through, and out of each other, you are affected by these things every day. And every moment you make a decision not to educate yourself, not to invest in your self development, you're taking 10 steps backward every time, and you're self destructing. As infinite living, beautiful beings, infinite living organisms, our primary goal, our primary function is to expand. If you're not expanding, if you're not elevating, if you're not handing down, if you are not growing, you are self-destructing. Just look at the reality, because the receipts of our reality isn't lying. Energy don't lie, although it can be manipulated. Energy does not lie. Your reality does not lie. We're lacking the understanding in so many things that have everything to do with us. The elites know this. The elites know who we are better than we know who we are. The elites have always known since their conception in their agenda to destroy everything that they set their eyes upon, to control everything that they put their eyes upon. And yet, we're still in the tornado of dysfunction. We're still in a tornado of delusion. We're still in a tornado of all of these unhealthy behavior patterns, right? And guess what? We have done so much damage now. Now, Mother Earth is stepping in. When I speak about universal laws and principles, which is why I come before you and I do the best I can to teach on so many different topics, everybody is going to be righteously judged and held accountable for your deeds, for your actions, for your doings. It doesn't matter if you're ignorant or not. It doesn't matter if you understand or not. It doesn't matter if you comprehend or not. It doesn't matter if you accept it or not. It does not matter. You will receive the same smoke or rewards that everybody else get. It doesn't matter your intentions. It's not enough to have pure and good intentions. It's not enough to do the bare minimum. It's not enough. because we're still self-destructing in the process. We're still falling behind in the process. Thought you was gonna say time we ignorance around. It listen, at this point, ignorance, willful ignorance is a choice and your decision because ain't no way you want to continually stay deaf, dumb, and blind, right? Your DNA houses trillions of sacred information. Sacred information. Many of us just don't understand how to tap back into it. Vibration, energy. We don't vibrate that high. We're not vibrating that high as we should be vibrating. So let's get into it. Childhood neglect. One of the most common causes of codependency, childhood neglect, pseudoscience. Ashe, Ashe. Sounds like you preaching the Bible. Yeah, a little bit, Nasu. Just a little bit. I don't get into all of that. But just a little bit because it is important. It is incredibly important for us to understand these things. My goodness. It is important for us to have a deeper understanding of these things. Ashe, childhood neglect, especially if your parents, or and we're talking about getting to the core of the why we do, the why we have codependent issues, codependency issues. If your parent or caretaker failed to provide you with support and guidance during the critical stages of your formative years, this is one of the things that can lead to you believing that your needs aren't important. And so you will develop codependent habits because you're continually wanting people to validate your self importance, right? You want people to validate, especially your partners. We put a lot of weight on our partners and demands on our partners for them to do things that we should be doing before we even get involved with them. And if you do not understand where you're codependent, first, if you don't understand that you have codependency issues, you're not going to understand the why you have codependency issues. Mwah. Love you. Thank you. Hi, Goddess. How are you, my love? How are you? Infinite gratitude always. Right? We're not going to understand these things. A lot of our unhealthy behaviors come from childhood neglect, especially when we're talking about codependency, right? And then we speak about doing the work, right? Just because you're in solitude does not mean you're doing the work. Because what good is it that you isolate yourself? What good is it that you say you're isolating yourself because you want to heal yourself? What good is saying these things if you're not actually doing it? Because guess what? One of these days, you're going to have to step out. One of these days, you're going to remember that, hey, I don't actually want to be single. I don't actually want to spend my life in this lifetime without a significant other. One of these days, you're going to realize that all of that hot ish you've been talking about, hey, I'm single, all the single ladies, I want to be single, single, happy and proud and independent and boss up and all of these. One of these days, you're going to realize, baby, them pillows ain't giving you the comfort, the love, the support, the fulfillment as you think. And so what good is it if you're sitting in isolation? For some of us, this is years on top of years. If you are the same when you step out. Yeah, you may step out with a new pair of shoes. You may step out with a new outfit. You may step out with a new hairdo. You may step out with a certain different type of energy, but at the core of you, you're the very same person. Now you quote unquote wasted so much of your invaluable energy, right? Because of a variety of reasons. Thank you so much for sharing the live, love. I appreciate you, right? Thank you, V. V, thank you so very much, right? So, childhood neglect. Many of men and women are having codependent issues because the cause is that you've been neglected. That was me, right? So you put demands on your partner to make you feel wanted. You put demands on your partner to make you feel loved. You put demands on your partner to make you feel validated, appreciated, and accepted. And so you nag, you nag, you nag, you nag, you push, you push, you push, you force, you force, you force. You're imbalanced and unaligned. You don't know what to do with yourself. 1 minute you up, 1 minute you down, 1 minute you up, 1 minute you down, 1 minute you need them, 1 minute you don't, 1 minute you need them, 1 minute you don't, 1 minute you love them, 1 minute you don't. 1 minute you right, 1 minute you wrong. How long are you going to keep on apologizing before you actually come to the realization and the acceptance that, hey, I need to work on some things. And when I say work on some things, I really need to work on some things because what I've been working on ain't working for me. Right? Ashe, V, I appreciate you. Infinite gratitude always. Right? And so understanding where these codependent issues come from, understand that. And it's not a dig, it's nothing to be ashamed about. It's nothing to not want to accept because the minute you acknowledge the minute you become aware of it, the minute you acknowledge it, the minute you accept it, the minute you take accountability for it, the minute you make an assessment, the minute you accept it, the minute you acquire the information that you need, the sooner you can apply it and the sooner your reality changes, the sooner you will start getting into energetic alignment so you can invite and pull healthy men and women into your life. The minute you begin to learn how to effectively, with comprehension, communicate whatever it is you're feeling to your partner without all the toxicity, without the badgering, without the all of the yuck part of it. You begin to realize that the partners you choose to have in your life, the people you choose to have in your life, the children, the spouses, family members, co-workers are not responsible for your securities. They're not responsible for turning your insecurities into securities. They're not responsible for turning your your unhappiness to happiness. They're not responsible for that. You are. And as long as you keep operating like this, you're not going to forge healthy relationships. You're just going to attract more people like you that lack. And guess what? We all know that hurt people hurt people. Correct diagnosis, acknowledgement. Hurt people hurt people. Mwah. Thank you so much, my loves, for helping me reach my goal. Thank you, Lotus. Mwah. Oh, I love you so much. Thank you, beautiful. Right? And so childhood neglect. Another common reason is overprotective parents. If you ever had any overprotective parents or guardian, these are behaviors that can lead to the child, right? Developing mental programs that says, I need, crippling them from being dependent and knowing the difference of being dependent and codependent and not being being independent and interdependent and not codependent. But when we are overprotective and overbearing, neglect isn't always what causes codependency. The opposite type of parenting is just as effective in influencing a person to develop these unhealthy behavior patterns. When parents are overly controlling or shield their children from any challenges or struggles, you prevent the child from developing important skills and coping mechanisms that they need in life to function in healthy relationships. And so, hence, if that never was corrected while your mind was developing, while your brain was developing, while your behavior patterns was developing, guess what? You carried that into adulthood. So now we have codependent issues. Now we don't know how to, in a healthy way, engage with people, especially our partners. Now we begin to suppress emotions, and whatever you suppress and repress, you also feed. And it's going to come a time where you're going to implode from the inside out. And then you're going to explode. And now you're wondering why my life is in disarray, right? Codependency is an unhealthy behavior pattern, and it is a learned trait, right? And so when we're talking about doing the deep spiritual work, this is a part of it. But how can you do the deeper spiritual work if you are never taught how to do the inner work? It's not enough to just talk about the issues, right? That's not helping. Just look at the state of us today. Look at the state we're in today. And we keep having conversation after conversation about the most foolish of things, I think. Another common reason, and they're in no particular order, emotional and physical abuse. Many people who struggle with codependency as adults report experiencing emotional or physical abuse during our childhoods. This damages our self-development. And this also leads to unhealthy behavior practices in our adulthood. We can see it today. How many of us watch, listen, or entertain people going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth? No resolve, no conflict resolution, right? No understanding, no energetic emotional control, energy in motion, no control over our frequency, no control over our energy. Do not even understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. We've become so codependent on people, places, and things. We've become so codependent on our bosses. We've become so dependent on our employees, if you have them. Become so codependent on the government and society and nature and all of these different things. And I know sometimes, yes, it gets overwhelming, and you just like, well, come on now. I know sometimes it get overwhelming. However, there is the law of cause and effect. You cannot stay there if you plan on developing, growing, expanding. You cannot. It is destroying many of us. You're codependent and dependent upon so many people, places, and things for your inner peace, for your inner joy, for your happiness, for your overall well-being. And you're working yourself into oblivion. You're stressing yourself, your body and your mind. You physically, mentally, spiritually, soulfully, energetically was never created to withstand such immense pressures. It causes you to self-destruct. And the longer you are dependent on other people, places, and things for your happiness, for your joy, for your fulfillment, the longer you stay attached to materialistic things, the longer you spend trying to keep up with the Joneses, the further you are going backwards, the more you're going to self-destruct, the more you're going to become overwhelmed, the more you are going to live in chaos. You cannot withstand this for long periods of time. You cannot. Because at some point, your soul will decide to eject from your body. And I'm speaking on a higher level. I'm speaking on a higher level. Please understand what I'm saying. The more pressure you put on this physical avatar, enabling it to do that which it is purposed to do and experience and supposed to experience on this and in this realm. Sometimes your soul will choose to eject from your avatar, leading to premature separation. Do you understand this? Yes, our souls are infinite. Yes, you will never die. However, this avatar have an expiration date. You don't know the time or the place, and you for sure cannot predict how your transition out of this realm is going to happen. However, when you keep ignoring the signs, your internal cosmic system, when you keep ignoring it, when you keep applying pressure and pressure and pressure, guess what? If you feel anything with the amount of pressure, it will eventually burst. It will eventually burst. You cannot keep on pouring, cannot keep on feeding, cannot keep on pulling and pushing with anything that is unnatural for you. I appreciate it, my loves. You cannot. This is why many of us are at our wits' end. This is why many of us have either jumped off the bridge, metaphorically and literally. This is why, not all the time, but in most cases, and this is why self mastery is so important. This is why I teach what I teach, because you need to understand these things. You need to understand what you consume, you become. And if you're filling your mind with more shit and more shit and more shit and more shit, your whole life is going to stink of a stench. If you keep falling deeper and deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole, it's going to take you longer to climb out. And at some point, some of us is just like, you know what? F it. Just leave me behind. Just leave me behind. When it doesn't have to be like that, right? Help is all around you. You are never, never, ever alone. You have an army of ancestors always with you. Always with you. But when you're so heavily reliant and dependent on this physical realm and all of the things that comes with this physical realm, you're going to miss the most invaluable lessons you will ever learn and is supposed to learn in this realm. Is to know that you're not this avatar, is to know that you have the power to create your reality, is to know that if you are not powerful, you are powerless, to know that if you are not the victor, you are the victim, to know that if you are not righteous, you are unrighteous. This is the power that you internally have that is inherently yours. But what do you think is going to happen when you're not feeding it? What you feed will gain power, and what you starve will lose its power. And many of us are losing the essence of our divine power because you keep feeding yourself with poison. And then you're making all type of justification, rhymes, and reasons as to why you participate in some of the most toxic relationships, conversations, environments. Where are you on your priority list? Are you important? Are you not? Are you invaluable or are you not? Do you deserve better or don't you? Do you want better or don't you? Are you powerful or aren't you? Are you the victim or the victor? You get to choose these things. You get to choose. It is a choice to keep believing foolishness. It is a choice to keep putting your energy into entities that were created by man to literally cipher your divine energy. It's the choice. No one's forcing you. No one's forcing you. No one's forcing you, my loves. You have the power. You can literally manipulate energy. You can literally attract. People, places, and things into your life. Everything is energy, even money. But what you chase, you repel. I'm going to say that again. What you chase, you repel. So if you're chasing divine love, guess what? You're repelling it. You have to become divine love. You have to become self full love. If you're chasing money, you're repelling money because you're literally a magnet. People, places, and things that you attract are reflections of your core frequency. So if you do not understand why you keep attracting unhealthy, codependent, dependent people in your life, it is because they are reflecting your core energy of codependency yourself. And then you have people like me that is reflecting your higher self, telling you this is what your core frequency is, and this is what you need to change it. Ashe, he's beautiful. Hi, Patricia. How are you, my love? Right? Permissive parenting is another cause of adult codependency. Parents or guardians who shower their children with love and affection. In doing so, they may have set rules and guidelines that cripples the child. Hi, my spirit angel, right? And we have to pay attention to this. How are codependent? How is codependency manifested? I'm going to give you some manifestations of codependency. Now, understand, even though I'm speaking primarily in people contact, person to person contact and engagement, I'm also speaking of codependency as it relates to everything else, codependency on jobs, work, careers, right? Endeavors, places, anything or anyone that you are so heavily dependent upon that you need it or them to thrive, like you need the breath that you're breathing. That's toxic and it is unhealthy. So let's go through a list of some of the manifestations of codependency. Neediness. A person who is displaying codependent behaviors are needy. They always need. They are never wanting to give. They need. It's all about take, not understanding the universal principle of correspondence. There's always a give and a receive. And some of us want to receive, and you're not understanding and setting your frequency and your intention to also give. There is not one without the other. It doesn't work that way. And so whenever you're leaving the universe to interpret what you're going to receive instead of expressing what you're going to exchange it with, guess what? You get what you get. I'm going to give you an example of this. An affirmation that I speak is I allow myself to be a magnet, attracting all that I desire now. In return, I teach others to do the same thing. Did y'all pick up what I said? Do y'all understand what I said? I incorporated the law of correspondence. I incorporated the law of attraction. I incorporated the law of relativity. I incorporated those laws because I know there has to be an exchange. And if I don't demand what I'm willing to exchange, I leave it up to God concept or the infinite source of creation in the universe to just give me just anything. And you're not just going to give me anything, because guess what? I am one with the infinite source of creation. I don't have to beg anybody or anything for it. I command it in righteousness. I command it because I can. I command it because it's already mine. I command it. It's the difference between begging and commanding. And when you're commanding, you need to have a certain frequency of power. You don't need to be operating from a victimship mentality. You don't need to be operating from a place of lack. Please, 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 will you do it? Please send me. Please take away this heartbreak. Please cover my family. Please. No, it's not that. That's begging. That's the frequency of begging. And you do not receive that which you desire receive from a place of begging, because it is a low frequency. You have to come from a place of commanding, and that takes you being responsible and not codependent on other people, places, and things to give you that power. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? Do y'all understand what I'm saying? When a person needs aren't met, they may create attention. They may crave, pardon me, attention and reassurance. As adults, you always needing to be reassured. You always needing to be comforted. You always needing to be validated. You always needing to tell me you love me. Tell me you love me. Tell me I look great. Tell me I'm beautiful. Tell me I don't look, you know, FAT, if I'm being transparently honest, in this dress or this outfit. Tell me, I look good, or just showboating, or just want to tell me, feed me, Seymour, feed me, Seymour, feed me, Seymour, feed me. I need your compliments. I need your assurance. I need your validation. I need your love, because inwardly I don't have it myself. I need to plug in and subtract and to take away your power, because I don't have none right now. I need your reassurance, because I experienced fear. I'm not over my fear of abandonment. I'm not over my fears of experiencing difficulties and traumas. So I need you to do these things. I need you, because you are my life support. And if you are relying on and codependent upon people, places, and things to be your life support, baby, you might as well respectfully. What the hell is this? Pardon the interruption. I have no idea what that was. Right? Let me know if you guys are still with me in TikTok, because I just got a notification I had to do. Let me know if you're still with me, if I'm still here. Waiting on. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Right. If you are in my YouTube land, my YouTube family, let me know. Let me know if everything's working good. Thank you, V. Thank you, Brittany. I appreciate all of you, right? Low self-esteem, the manifestations. We're talking about manifestations of codependency now. So we went your neediness, low self-esteem, people who display low self-esteem, low self-worth, are men and women who are codependent, are men and women who heavily rely on other people, right? There's a strong, when you have low self-esteem, there is a strong link between your childhood maltreatment and a negative sense of self. And I can understand that, because many of us were told you ain't gonna amount to nothing. You ain't gonna be nothing. You're gonna be just like your mama or your daddy, no good for nothing. You're gonna be just like this. You ain't gonna amount to nothing. You ain't gonna succeed in life. You're not pretty. You're ugly. You're not worth it. Psychological conditioning. And because you unknowingly accepted it so long ago, it became a dominant mental pattern. It became a neural transmitting signal, strong, because what you feed gains power and what you starve loses power. And a lot of us unknowingly, indirectly fed so many unhealthy thoughts and conditioning that now it is being manifested in our behaviors, such as being needy, being codependent, not feeling love, having a low sense of worth, self-esteem 6 feet below 6 feet. Cynthia, thank you so much for being transparently honest, right? We have another manifestation of codependency is communication issues. Many children learn to hide their feelings to avoid upsetting whoever their guardians was or whoever their role models was, right? This can make it very difficult to communicate with comprehension effectively with others later in life. And a lot of us are at that later in life, right? Dishonesty, passive, passive aggressive. We display dishonesty, we display passive aggressiveness, and a lack of communication, a lack of comprehensive communication can contribute to codependency. And we've all witnessed this. Some of us can't effectively, some of us aren't able, unknowingly aren't able to engage in healthy conversations because we lack comprehension. Because some of us hear what we want to hear and then we regurgitate it based upon what you thought you heard instead of what you actually heard. Lack of comprehension, lack of conflict resolution, lack of what they say emotional intelligence, control, awareness, and discipline, which is nothing more than energy intelligence. Hear me. Energy intelligence, because emotions are energy in motions. Everything is motion, everything is a flow, everything. So you develop all of these unhealthy characteristics. Another manifestation of codependency is people pleasing. Everyone wants to be liked, but some people feel the need to please others all the time, putting your needs and your overall well being above, putting their needs, excuse me, and their overall well being, their pleasures, their happiness, their joy above yours. When children, remember, codependency issues stem from untreated traumas and learned behaviors and conditioning while you were a youth, right? So when you as your younger self have emotionally unavailable parents, guardians, mentors, that led to them that led them to believe that love is something that they need to earn. People pleasers often struggle to set healthy boundaries, leading them to sacrifice their own needs for the sake of others, which is classic. It is a classic giver behavior pattern in codependent relationships. You learn to give, 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 emptying yourself, emptying yourself. You give every ounce of liquid love in your cup. You give every ounce of liquid courage in your cup. You give every ounce of liquid awareness in your cup. You give every ounce of liquid breath in your cup. You give every ounce of liquid inspiration and motivation in your cup. You give every ounce of growth in your cup, all to please him or her or it or them, because you have a need to be accepted and liked, especially from people who mean you no good. Ashe. Other manifestations of codependency is difficulty trusting others, which really means that you don't trust yourself. And so we hear statements and quotes all the time that, oh, I don't trust people. I can't trust people. I don't trust him. I don't trust her. I don't trust this. I don't trust that. All you're really saying, hear me. All you're really saying is that you don't trust yourself to make wise, discerning, intuitive decisions when you're with that person, place, or thing. Trusting yourself is trusting that people will do exactly what they do. Has nothing to do with you so much. Trusting the government to do exactly what the government is going to do. Trust yourself. Learn to trust yourself. When you learn to fully trust yourself, you trust in people, places, and things to do and be as they choose to be, as they were created to be. So it's not that you should not have lack in trust. And yes, do people have to prove to show up? Do you have to prove and show up to yourself? Absolutely. However, trust yourself enough. When you develop higher states of conscious awareness, when you develop self-respect and self-worth, when you develop self-esteem, when you raise your self-esteem, when you develop in these areas, when you use your wisdom, your discernment, you trust yourself to make wise decisions when it comes to anybody you allow in your life. Because the opposite of that is that you can become codependent on them. Because if you don't trust yourself, guess what? You're simply just believing. Believing is the absence of knowing, which is why those who understand will only believe, and those who outer stand know. Self mastery is also about teaching you how to move from belief to knowing. And remembering who you are is the catalyst. You are not who they told you to be. Peace, Anubis. How are you, my love? Relearn. Be willing to relearn. Is it a process? Absolutely. Is it going to be uncomfortable? Absolutely. Knowing the different processes when you enter into this awareness, when you going through this awareness, will help you navigate. Ashe, manifestations of codependency, reactivity. You are quick to react instead of responding. Immature people have reactivity. Immature people react. They just ready to go. No pause, no thoughts, no process, no assessment, no nothing. They just ready to go. Don't even know that there's a damn warning sign or the bridge is cut off. You just full speed ahead, 100 miles an hour. And guess what? You crashed, you burned, right? Immature, unlearned individuals react. Mature, guided, intuitively, wisely guided individuals respond. That's maturity. And just because you grown don't mean you're mature. because we got a whole lot of immature grown folks, control issues, right? People that have control issues are display behaviors of codependency, and they are rooted in insecurities, fear, and anxiety. You don't have to be in control of everything, and you damn sure ain't purpose to control people. Who are you to decide the path of souls on this realm? There's pardon me. There's a difference in sharing your POIs, your perspectives, opinions, and ideologies. There's a difference in bringing awareness. There's a difference in teaching. There's a difference in educating versus degrading, defeminizing, emasculating, and shaming. Be very mindful of people who take pleasure from dragging people unjustly and unrighteously. That is not your purpose, and you don't have no authority, not in this realm or the cosmos, to shame anybody for anything. You can be in disagreement and you don't even have to fool with those folks. But how dare you? This is another reason why I love universal laws, because not even you can get away with it. I don't care what your name is or what light is shining over you. Some of us are such a disgrace to this planet, to our ancestors. Disgrace. Be mindful and aware of people that take pleasure in crucifying, judging, and shaming. I heard someone say earlier, would you just listen to this? Would you just listen to this? They didn't agree with the other person. They were sharing a video of another person. They didn't agree with the person. And they were laughing and joking about, oh, my followers and my people still dragging her. Months later, they dragging her. And she laughed about it. That's shameful. That's unrighteous and that's unjust. And guess what? You will get what you give. The same poison you give is the same poison you will take eventually. Be mindful of your actions, my love. Be mindful of people's actions that are displaying these types of behaviors. Because if you are in the pool with these people and they throw a pebble, guess who's going to also be affected by the ripples? You. Guess who's also going to be impacted by those ripples? You. So you can keep playing with it if you want to. You can keep playing with your life and the lives of your loved ones if you want to. Because eventually, guess what? It's going to catch up to you. It's going to catch up to you. Right? Here's some questions you can ask yourself. And I'm going to run through this list real quick because we're approaching the end. And I made such good time. I'm proud of myself. Ooh, dripping. Dripping, overflowing, okay? Overflowing with victory, right? So here's some of the questions that you can ask yourself to identify codependent behaviors in yourself and in others, right? And this applies to you and them. And we laugh at others who suffer or are suffering. Yes, it's so despicable, right? And these questions are in no particular order. These are just some questions that can help you to identify these behaviors. Do you keep quiet to avoid arguments? Ask yourself that. Ask yourself this. And it doesn't mean that you always have to directly ask the person that you're involved with. Observe more than you verbalize. Observe more than you verbalize. Because one thing is for sure, and 100 things is for certain. You will never have to beg and pry information to be presented to you if you vibrate higher. All people, places, and things will be revealed to you. When you vibrate at a certain frequency, your ancestors and a divine infinite source of creation will always expose the unrighteous before you. And they are exposed in many different ways. You just have to be in alignment and start paying attention, not with your reflectors, but with your eye, not with what you can touch, but what you can sense. Start paying attention. Another question you can ask is, are you always worried about others' opinions, perspectives, and ideologies? Especially when it comes down to you. Are you always concerned? Another question. Have you ever lived with someone with a type of alcohol or drug problem? Remember, our learned behaviors are developed through the people who played an intricate part in our adolescence. And if you don't understand that, you're going to keep reliving out these behaviors. You're going to keep on this hamster wheel cycle. You're going to keep repeating them, right? Have you ever lived with someone that hits or belittles you, or know of someone? These are questions to ask yourself to identify codependent behaviors. These are some of the things that contribute to adults being codependent, especially when it comes to other people in their lives, and especially when it comes to relationships that we're in, right? Are the opinions of others more important than yours? Do you have difficulties adjusting to change at work or at home? Do you often feel rejected when your significant others spend time with friends? Oh, that's a big one. Do you often Do you often feel rejected when your significant other want to spend time with other loved ones or friends? Codependency. And I'm going to show y'all that clip on TikTok once I finish this presentation, right? Because it's powerful. Do you doubt your ability to be who you want to be authentically? Authentically. Who are you? Who is your authentic self? Ashe, spirit angel, who is your authentic self? Are you uncomfortable expressing your feelings to others? Have you ever felt inadequate? Do you feel like a bad person when you make decisions that don't align with your highest self? Do you have difficulties taking compliments or gifts? How many of us, when we receive compliments, especially ladies, like, oh, that dress is nice, you be like, oh my God, this old thing, I got this from ain't nobody asked you that, baby. She said the dress is beautiful. She said the dress is just simply beautiful. But the conditioning that we're unaware of automatically, now you have to justify unknowingly why you feel uncomfortable receiving a compliment and just simply saying thank you, right? You got to go into, oh, this old thing. You know why we do that? Remember, one of the behavior patterns of a codependent man or woman stems from insecurities and lack of self-esteem and self-worth. You don't really feel secure about that woman or man complimenting you, because if you did, your response would just be like, girl, thank you. Thank you, love. I appreciate you. Yes. Right? Do you feel humiliation when your child or spouse make certain decisions that cause you some type of discomfort? Do you think people in your life would go downhill without your constant efforts, without you constantly giving your very life force, right? Depleting your very life force. Do you frequently wish someone could help you get things done? Are you confused about who you are or where you're going with your life? That applies to many of us. Very true. Do you have trouble saying no? Do you have trouble saying no? Do you struggle with saying no? And just leaving it at that. We are gracious when we justify our no, when we explain our no. Okay, we're gracious. We're giving grace because no is a whole entire sentence. No is like period, period, point blank, however you want to take it. That's the end of it. No, I'm not willing to do that. I won't do that. And I don't owe you no explanation. And if I give you an explanation, I'm being gracious, right? Especially when your no is righteous, especially when your no is protecting and guarding your mental, spiritual, emotional, physical, financial, and energetic frequency. No, no, no. And don't find nobody else to do it. You know, don't find nobody else to do it. Don't do it. Do it yourself. Figure it out. Exactly. Ouch. I'm feeling some pain from these truths about myself. Is it Meech or Mitch? Listen, we all experience it. We all experience it, and at some point, many of us will experience it. No shame, no judgment. Awareness is key. You cannot face what you're not aware of, right? And so that's all it is. Short for Kamisha. Oh, that's pretty, Mish. I like that. That's a pretty name. Listen, love, we all been there, my love. Okay, this is I bring awareness. Self, I'm all about. For those of you who are new to me, my name is Venus, a goddess. I'm a self mastery mentor. I help and have helped thousands of men and women, help them to master themselves and master their reality by teaching them the principles that I'm teaching you. And we cover all different types of topics as far as, such as identifying codependency. We speak about spiritual things. We speak about sex. We speak about relationships. We speak about so many different things because as long as I'm here, I will take great honor and pleasure in sharing the information that I was purposed to share for you. And the fact that you're here means that it's time to elevate. You're not here by mistake, you're not here by coincidence, and you're not here by happenstance. You're here because you and I have energetically aligned. Your goal is to do what you have to do to keep ascending. And if that means that you need to invest in yourself, find someone, even if it's not me, even though I prefer it, okay? To help guide you. Again, because if you're not ascending, you're descending. If you're not elevating, you're self-destructing. And I don't want that for you. However, you have to want it for yourself. So that's why I'm here. So welcome. Welcome, Masters of Self. That's what I call you. MOS, Masters of Self. If you want to be notified when I come live and I do these teachings once a week or anything that I have going, the exclusive master classes that I give outside of social media, please feel free to become a part of the MOS family, which stands for Masters of Self, by texting 1833 to 996 3032. That is text MOS, MOS, to 1833 996 3032. I don't bug you with notifications. You will receive one notification a week. The minimum max is probably two if I have something special going on. I'm a best-selling self-published author, right? I've been teaching self-mastery for 15 plus years. I absolutely can assist you and guide you in mastering yourself and mastering your reality so you can put yourself in energetic alignment to attract what and who you desire. Isn't that what it's all about? Right? What's required to break the cycle? And I teach, and I'm going to give this to you. I teach 7 keys to self mastery, which is: 1, you need to be aware; 2, you need to accept; fully accept the situation and where you are and who you are fully. Three, I reverse these numbers. Acknowledgement. You have to acknowledge whatever's going on in you, with you, and around you. Number four, you have to take accountability for your actions. You are in control. Despite what you've been told, despite what you think, you are in control and you have a choice to either control or be controlled. You have a choice to either master or be mastered. And I'm not talking about unrighteous control. I'm talking about controlling and dictating what you attract. Number five, you have to assess the situation. In project management, in order for the project manager to be successful and completely engineering a new plan of success for a business, they have to assess the all of all, the status of a company, the financial of the company, the forecast of the company, the vision of the company, the SOS of the company, system operations and structures. You have to do a proper assessment. Number six, you have to acquire that necessary information that you need, because you cannot create a new behavior pattern if you're still operating on the same informative old mental database. You need new information. Number seven, you have to apply. And I encourage you to find someone that can help you do this. It's another thing to know something is different than speaking, and it's a whole entire different thing in actually applying these things. And this is what I help individuals do, what I call mastering stuff, so you can master your reality. Ashe? Please know, if you are visiting me on YT YouTube for the very first time, I encourage you to help participate, support me. I am in the process of growing this platform, and I will do that with your help and your participation. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, if you just like listening, if you're a podcaster fan or podcaster, I am also streaming on Spotify. I'm also streaming on, I got to be careful over there because I'm still streaming on TT. I am also streaming on most of your favorite podcasts and platforms at All Things Self Mastery. You can find me, listen. Every week I'm uploading episodes and past teachings that I did. So eventually, listen, we're gonna wrap it up. I encourage you. My goal for you, my hope for you, my bid to you is so that you can learn the art and practices of self mastery, right? And learning how to master your reality, right? Give me 1 second, TikTok. Infinite gratitude. I bid you infinite divine love, sacredness, and enlightenment to you always. Join me every Friday evening. I will pop back up and we'll have another self mastery class on something that has to do with self mastery and your elevation. I am Venus, a goddess. I am your host. Peace until next time.